Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrong Ones Podcast. I'm Dinesh Sagi, joined by Punk. Hey Punk.
Hey, hi Dinesh.
Hey.
How buddy?
How are things? Good man, good.
Yeah, good man.
Busy,
Yeah,
busy
good, good.
long weekend. Obviously, yeah, a lot going on the IPL side of
Um,
things. Back-to-back games. So
Easter
we are
Friday.
like Easter Friday, long weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, double Saturday. Obviously, two games on Saturday and two games on Sunday after a long time. So yeah, trying to keep up with the sessions. But yeah, maybe let's kick off with the Saturday's game, the morning game between DC and GT, the top two teams on the table. Uh, High scoring game. Both teams obviously batted really well. 200 was what DC posted when they batted first, 203 to be precise. But really quickly, just want to highlight. Do you think it was a good move from DC to not allow JFK to open today? In fact, they dropped him in favor of Karun Nair opening.
Yeah, I
Megat,
think
I'm
so.
referring to JFK.
He was not giving them any runs at all, right? He was just like the wickets were dropping. There was no start. DC did not get a good start. It was just that they were lucky, in terms of
Yeah.
the other batsmen in form with Fab playing some really good innings, and then you had Perel, and then
Hmm.
you know Ashutosh won them a game, and then so they were lucky that the middle order was like getting those consistently. They were getting those run. Rahul played so well,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
they were lucky that way, right? And now with Karun opening, they have a steady, at least he's a good batsman. He played really well as well, right? Uh,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And when Fab comes, then Karun can still come one down because he can bat
Hmm.
anyways, right? And Fab can open with Perel, a left-right combination,
Hmm.
and that could give them that start which they need. But somewhere I feel they've got a trick wrong, in terms of not having a power hitter for them, right? So they're playing with three
I mean, they have
foreigners.
Ashutosh Sharma and Vepraj Nigam who are really good, and
Well,
Ashutosh Sharma
no, but
actually scored at 194 strike rate.
he's just, what I'm trying to say is, right, when there's an opportunity, if your squad, like, you got Harry Brook, because if Harry Brook was there, then Harry Brook would have played all those
Yeah.
matches, right? So there would definitely be
Hmm.
Harry Brook,
Hmm.
which we actually, if you remember in a squad, like, things, uh, Mistrack, Harry Brook, uh, Stubbs, and maybe Fab or McCourt would have been one of the options to play with. Now they're playing with three thing, and I think so. They should, like, if they can have another foreigner, right? They have an opportunity to
Yeah.
replace somebody. They could have easily got Brewis, and Brewis was like
Hmm.
in the auction for just 50 lakhs, right? That would have been a good replacement for Brook, right? Now, when I look at
In the
like
middle order, yeah. Hmm.
middle order, right? Apart from Stubbs, they don't have an enforcer.
Hmm.
The Ashutosh comes too late at 7, right? You need somebody in between as well, right? And like because the entire team is in form, right? And the bowling with Kuldeep Yadav doing some
Yeah.
extraordinary bowling, yeah. They won some of the
Mm.
matches, but coming late now, if they start losing consistently, right? Then they will do that. Okay, we don't
Mhm.
have somebody who could, like, because they're getting the starts, they're getting everything where they want, right? But on that on
Yeah.
that pitch, right, in Ahmedabad again, you see dew coming in. There was a lot of dew as well. 200 was just pass score. They just scrambled there, right? And like any other team, okay, which would have been there, okay, if you look at in terms of the runs which they had scored, like I'm just quickly going through at the 17th or the
Mhm.
just 1 second. L- let's, like, just scrutinize in terms of the scorecard. Look
Yeah.
at the score they had at just 1 second. DC,
When in the 14th over, when Stubbs scored out, they
yeah,
were on 46, and then
they won
Patel.
46. Yeah,
Yeah.
even on the 17th over, okay, when Akshar was
Hmm.
batting, right, or Nigam, like, they were 173. That means there were still
Hmm.
10 runs.
Yeah.
You see the last 3 or 4 overs, right? That is where they should at least get 210 to 220, right? That is, from that 14th over,
Yeah.
15th over on, right? That's why. So Akshar comes in, and then you have Vipraj,
Mm-hmm.
you have Ashutosh. Like what I'm trying to say, the Vipraj is again, if they and they've got an impact player for as Doran right now. He is your wicketkeeper batsman. He's not your person who can tonk you those sixes. I think that
Yeah.
they definitely need somebody. If like you
Mm-hmm.
can have an impact sub based on the and like
Yeah.
the other thing is they got tactically wrong of getting him out there because he was no use to the combination of the team. Yeah, you see,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to get an impact sub, right, you could have got, because now you already there around about there. You could have got a Chamira. You could, you see, because at one, when did like Vipra, 173, right? You still
Yeah. He
had
came in on the 17th over. Yeah.
yeah, you still had Stark. Stark can still play with Ashutosh. Right? If Ashutosh would have got out, then it was a very different thing. So I think that they got some tactically they got it wrong. By bringing Donovan, I would not have bought him. I would have still continued with Stark and
Mm-hmm.
Ashutosh to see where where they can take that game to. You see, and then as my impact, I would have then looked at my impact. I could have easily gotten like Chamira.
Yeah.
You see, or Darshan Nalkande. He's a bowling all rounder. At least that he would have given me that bowling option
Mm-hmm.
against GT. So you see, sometimes what happens is like that impact sub which you bring in, right? He's not able. He can just bat you for the 3 or 4 balls, but he won't. He might give you 10 runs, but
Mm-hmm.
your bowling becomes weak because now you are not. You don't have a. The runs are. See, the thing is this i- one if they scored like 190, 195, right? What they've
Mm-hmm.
scored, like say if they were around about that, right? An extra bowler would help them to save, get you to a winning thing. With
Yeah.
bringing Donovan, right? I think they got very tactically they got it wrong because he just played for
Mm-hmm.
3 4 balls, but there was no
Yeah.
contribution towards the towards the bowling side. I would have
Yeah.
definitely like not because Stark can bat and he's not like a lame
Mm-hmm.
duck. Same thing with Kuldeep, right? If Ashutosh would have got out, right, then I would have
Mm-hmm.
thought of bringing in,
So,
like a power hitter.
okay. Yeah.
But Ashutosh was there, right? Stark could have easily, and they can still, and this was not like, say, which we just talked about RCB, right? Where they had
Yeah.
to bring a Manoj in because they
Mm-hmm.
lost so many wickets that there were so many overs left that we
Mm-hmm.
needed a batsman to at least take them to a score which was like, reasonable to at least defend. In here,
Mm-hmm.
you more or less you got a score which you could defend, right? It was 170 plus. You had 3 overs. And I think that is where they got it wrong. So that is
Mm-hmm.
something which as an impact sub, and I think so Dinesh, we discussed about this, right? You don't have to bring just because you need to just bring a impact sub, right?
Yeah.
Look at the
Absolutely. Yeah.
conditions, look at the situation, and just tactically think whether you want to bring an impact sub now, based on what that impact
Or
sub can do,
the second innings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, or in the second innings, right? And this was like they got it very wrong, and
Yeah. But also we
like
have to. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Right. Also give credit to GT how they bowled, especially Shan Sharma in the
yes,
19th over and Sai Kishore, who only bowled 1 over, but he came in the 20th over and only considered 6 runs.
yeah,
That is
that's
quite
like
impressive.
yeah, that actually I think so they
That's
got
where
it
your
wrong.
10 runs or 15 runs that they've saved, they
Yeah,
actually saved in the last 2 overs, the 19th over and the 20th over from GT
yeah,
standpoint.
and like also the wickets had fallen as well, right? A lot because only Ashutosh was on the other side. The other thing is, I think so. Gill was lucky,
Yeah.
right? Saik would have gone if Ashutosh would have tonked him for 2 3 sixes. It was a very different thing. See, the thing is, it
Mhm.
was like a risk.
Different game.
Saik should have come much more earlier. He has done really, and
Yeah,
he's one of the guys why GT is where GT is because of Sai Kishore, not because of
absolutely.
Rashid and Siraj. Because
Hmm.
these are two bowlers and Prasidh. Yeah, these are three bowlers who have been like
Hmm.
doing really well in parts and this thing. And Sai getting
Yeah,
just the 20th over, then don't bring him. Get a batsman instead of him. You see,
yeah.
you can have a Teotia bowling. If that 1 over is needed. What I'm trying to say is like Gill was lucky, giving the 20th over, and if Ashutosh got like tongued him for 2 3 sixes, the game would have been very different because the pass score was 210.
Yeah.
Like they would have won at
Yeah.
210. 200 was like your pass score, right? Another 10 runs
Hmm.
or 15 runs, this would have been a very different game altogether. But yeah, overall, like, is lucky, and Sai Kishore being Sai Kishore, right? He was able to get that, that over, and he got Ashutosh out, right? So that also made a huge difference towards the game. But let's look at the
But on
other
the flip
side.
side, right? Looking at GT's batting,
Again, that guy, man, Sai Sudarshan is some guy, right? It's just continuously
yeah.
getting those starts for him.
Josh Butler batted
Yeah,
only 220, 230 was short as well. He was in some form.
yeah, he was, and like the thing is, if you look at Butler, yeah, I'll just look. He was not like
Hmm.
he just like he was not stuck, because what happens, right? Sometimes what happens is like when you're 170, 160 score, right? You tend to play those few runs here and there. That day, like he just came
Yeah.
out and he was just on the ball go. He was just going on non-stop. He was like trying to go on, and he getting these runs. He was like always on par with the score.
Hmm.
And if you look at the way they batted, like GT, in terms
Yeah.
of the scores, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Sai Sudarshan out like 74 for two, 7.3 overs, right? And when
Hmm.
Rutherford went out, like it
Yeah.
was like 193. You see, they were like
Hmm.
continuously with the score. And this guy, man,
There's a good
I'm just a bit
partnership
surprised,
throughout. Yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely, yeah. And like the other thing is, even Gill, like he just played 5 balls, but he did not consume. Like he gave you 7 runs, right? What I'm
Yeah, he
trying to
was
say is, like, if you play a
unfortunate run
20
out.
odd
Yeah.
run, yeah, if you play like 20 odd balls and score there's 20 runs, right? Then it's a massive difference towards the other guy
Hmm.
has to accumulate that strike rate, right? But if
Compensate.
you're still, yeah, they have to compensate for the strike rate, and it becomes very difficult. Uh, you know, Josh Butler would have to go at 200 plus. If somebody plays 20 balls for 20 runs, and then you need a strike rate of at least 180 to actually win this game. So the other
Hmm.
thing was, like, and there was one with I'm like a bit surprised, RR leaving Josh Butler. He has been
Hmm.
performing for them, and he's been
Was a
one of the
big
best.
call. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just thinking, what was there going in your brains that you actually left, Josh Butler out,
Yeah.
and kept Dhruv Jurel and Riyan Parag. I'm just
Parag. Yeah.
thinking, I wouldn't like. Maybe I would have kept Parag
Sanjay
and
Samson and what's his name? Jaiswal made
Jaiswal,
sense, but Riyan Parag, I still don't get it. Why he gets so much backing from Rajasthan Royals, man?
and like Riyan
Honestly, I
Parag
don't know.
was like, okay, last season he did some, because he can bowl bat, and like young guy.
Yeah.
Even if they have, but keeping Dhruv Jurel did not make sense for me as well. Right? I would have kept like Josh Butler. That they would have been my
Yeah.
four
Absolutely.
retentions. Uh, I'm a bit surprised with RR,
Mhm.
what were going in the brains, right? So,
Yeah, I'm
and
surprised too.
like,
Like
and
if you remember, I mentioned
GT,
this on the previous podcast as well. Yeah.
what an upgrade for them. So they had a wicket keeper Shah, yeah, Ridhman Shah, who used to open for them, and then you had Mark Matthew Wade. You see, so with Josh as a wicket keeper, they wanted a really good wicket keeper, right? And getting Josh Butler as a wicket keeper, what a upgrade for them, man. Now, like this team has got everything. The only thing I've told you, right? Siraj and Rashid, like later on now, in the next few innings, you will see
Mhm.
uh, now the sun
GT.
beating
Yeah.
down in May. Rashid will, he will come good now.
Mhm.
The pitches will get worn out. Like all those pitches which are being played now, they are definitely going to
Yeah.
get worn out. And with the sun, with the heat now, yeah, in May, the next 7 matches across wherever they play, Rashid will come good.
Yeah.
And like they've been lucky with Sai Kishore as well. He has taken a lot of burden off from Rashid. He's provided them that thing. And just look at Prasad Krishna as well.
from Gill.
What a turnaround
Yeah.
for him. Yeah. So, you know, Sai Kishore batting, Tiwatia, right? Like, coming down there. So, this team looks like really good now.
Yeah, means
The only challenge, one thing which I see again, is they also have a Sundar Indian who does not get to play, In most of the teams, Sundar would definitely be playing at a number three or number four batsman, right? But
hmm
now this team looks now really good.
yeah, it's difficult to figure out why someone like Washington Sundar is not able to play in your playing 11 because of the playing 11.
The combination, yeah.
The current squad they have, Glenn Phillips was part of the squad and unfortunately got ruled out, but even he didn't get a chance because how well the current team are performing, especially Rutherford coming in
Yeah.
at number 4, and he's able to contribute massively as well. So they didn't even need Rahul Tiwati until yesterday's game, which was pretty good if you're a GT fan.
Yeah, and they're only playing with like three foreigners with Butler, Rashid, and Rutherford. They don't need another four, So this also gives you that because you're fast bowling all rounders, right? Like
hmm
Prasid, Siraj, Ishant,
Yeah,
Arshad, all of these guys are coming good.
and
And
then
Sai Kishore is like
Rutherford comes in as an impact sub. Yeah,
impacts up and he's got that power hitting with him, crazy power hitting, right? So that helps as well, right? And they can launch him as and when
yeah.
they want.
hmm
So that gives a bit of this, but I still believe like the batting is slightly weak. They still need to like get somebody in as well because you have like Rashid. If you look at the lineup, you have Rashid at batting at
hmm
7. Actually, no, Rashid batting at 6, 7. Actually, sorry, 7. Yeah, because Rutherford comes in, right. So that Rashid should bat at 8. As I've told you, right. So that
Yeah,
again, like there's an opportunity for them, to see if how they can bring in like maybe Sundar in the team that could help them to elongate the batting, and then yeah, they just need to see how they can bring in Sundar, right? That's like an option for them. But yeah, this team looks really good, man. Everybody is informed, they're getting the right thing. Siraj just needs to make sure that he gets you. If he's not able to get those wickets, right, he needs to also contain those running. He gets hit a lot. So that's one challenge which they're facing, right? So last game, he was hit 4 overs for 47, right?
yeah,
And and the thing is, like, I'm again, Gill was lucky. He gave too many overs to Arshad Khan and to Sai Kishore just that 1 over. He could have like used Sai Kishore somewhere in between, right? Uh, Especially with Butler, because Josh Butler is not that great against left arm spin. He could. Sorry, against I'm talking about like against Rahul, and he could have just bring in against Rahul basically. Sorry, that's what, like, when Rahul was batting, right? He could have just gotten 1 over from Sai Kishore, right? That's something which they missed a trick.
yeah.
But anyways, they won the game, or they would like everybody were called out for not getting Sai Kishore to bowl an over in between. But it was a good game actually.
No, absolutely. Hope this is obviously really good for GT. Obviously, they're top of the table, and DC is right up there. So like we said, at the start of the call, I think this is that time of the season where you sort of start looking at the teams and say how strong they are and where they need to make changes. I think this is probably the time. It's very rare to say someone like Rashid can't be in a weak link in this 11 at the moment, but hopefully he'll bounce back, and it will only make GT stronger. And on the flip side, DC again, the good thing about both DC and GT, one of the things I've noticed is both are actually doing exceptionally well with having a lot of Indian bowlers, which I think it's massive. Apart from like Stark as an exception, on both sides they use a lot of Indian bowlers, and they're actually really contributing big time for both teams, and
Yes,
that's what
they're
has
not
put them
getting
on the top two. But yeah,
LSG, for example, as well, right? They
let's
they
see
they
how
using
things
a lot of
unfold
Indian
in
bowlers
the
as well.
next few games, and yeah,
Yeah, like looks
hmm
good. You're right. With this Indian bowlers, it gives a bit of a opportunity. It gives much more flexibility actually.
yeah, that's why in the top
If
four.
you're,
But yeah, like I said,
yeah,
things are looking bright for both GT and DC. Absolutely,
good.
yeah. No, fair enough. Apologies, Pang. I think there's some issues
Yeah, no worries, man.
behind, but yeah, as always, I appreciate your insights into the game, and obviously,
Yes,
things sort of improve going forward.
yes. Yeah.
For
Don't
US
forget to press
subscribers, like we
the
always
bell
say,
icon. Yeah.
do share your feedback, any inputs, anywhere we can improve. Do let us know.
Yes. And don't forget to press the bell
Absolutely,
icon.
do hit the bell icon,
Subscribe.
subscribe, and as we bring in more and more games.
Yes. All
Thank you,
right.
Punk.
See you
Appreciate your
guys.
time.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.